Hello, everybody. Hey, YouTube. It's Justin, aka Demonic Sweaters. And yeah, you just heard the first two songs off of my new album, Can You Draw Me, which is now available everywhere. You can stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, anywhere that you stream your music. You can also pick it up at anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com. So that's really what this whole stream is about, is the contest. The contest. And I don't know why that one's showing sideways. It's correct in the folder, but for some reason, OBS wants to show that one sideways. But there it is again, the colorized version. I always point the wrong direction. But so we do have a winner, and right now you're just seeing all the entries that are going by. And before I announce the winner, I wanted to just thank everybody who took part in the contest. Sebastian, Rue Clementine, Skip Thornhoarder, JMK 1975, Hayden Reynolds, Linda Millard, Cynthia Trulinger, Vanessa the Cool Kid, Patrick B, Daniel Aguilar, Dominic Spaziati, and Phil Hernandez. All of you submitted some amazing artwork, and it was really hard for me to pick one, honestly, because I loved them all. They're all really, really cool. And it's just really awesome. I'm definitely going to be putting together a gallery on the website of all the different color covers. And they'll all be included in the bonus downloads on the Bandcamp page. But let me wait here just a couple more minutes before I announce the winner, just to see if some more people show up who I'm kind of expecting. So let's see. Hey, Music Chris and Harry, hello. And okay, all right. And okay, all right. I haven't seen you in the streams here before. Do you have a new screen name? Hey, Praise. I know you've been asking for me to stream. Yeah, so here I am. It's always every Tuesday. Sorry, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. is when I stream. Although next week, actually, let me look at the calendar. I'm going to be going out of town for Christmas, for the holidays. And let's see. When is that going to be? So next Tuesday, yeah, there'll still be one more stream next Tuesday. But the following Tuesday after that, there will not be a stream. Oh, maybe I'll be able to stop in for a quick one. I don't know. I'll have to see what's going on. I'm going to be at my mother's in Florida, so, but maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Possibly. But if not, then there may not be one on the 29th either. Because I might be too tired after driving back. But there'll definitely be a stream on the 5th of January. But we'll see. I'll try my best to be here on those. But there'll definitely be one next week. And possibly one on the 22nd. But I don't know. And yeah, I had like a huge pimple right here. You guys can probably see that. It was insanely big. It was like the biggest pimple I've had in ages. It was really big. So I don't know why I felt the need to tell you guys that. I'm sure y'all noticed it already. But anyway, okay, let's go ahead. Hey, I can't talk. Jay Snowden Davies. Hey, how you doing? And who else is here? Harry, hello. 9 p.m. in the UK. Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and do it. So you guys ready to hear who the winner is? The announcement? All right. The winner is Dominic Spaziati from Ontario, Canada. The one here on this side. And, it was really hard to pick, like I said. So it was just really hard. But I went with this one. I thought the creativity, I thought it was really unique. I love the color scheme of it. And, I loved them all, but this is just the one. This is the winner. So Dominic is going to be... I already told Dominic that he won, and he selected he had the option to choose either the TD7 module, Roland, or the Alesis Nitro module. He chose the TD7, as I probably would myself. So he's going to be taking that one, as well as getting a free copy of the self-titled Manasota album on 180-gram vinyl, as well as I threw in a CD copy of Driving Songs, and yeah, so just whatever else I think to throw in there. you'll be getting. So, yep, that's the winner. So congratulations to Dominic S. from Ontario. It's really, really cool. And like I said, they're all really awesome. I really I'm really happy I got so many submissions, and it was really cool. It really helped raise awareness of the album too, which is really nice, because a lot of times, it's hard to market music these days, on the internet, and being like a solo independent musician, how do you stand out? How do you get noticed by people? And this was just it wasn't like some grand scheme of mine or anything. I just, the idea just came to me because of the album title. I was thinking, it'd be pretty cool if people tried to draw this, it'd be funny. And so that's how it happened. But it definitely helped, raise awareness about the album. And it's really cool. So thank you guys so much for participating. And it was really, really awesome to have all these amazing contributions. So anyway, yes, will definitely be a gallery. It's not up there yet. I'll probably be working on that. Well, I don't know how long it'll take, but it'll be soon. I'll try to get it done before the holiday break, but if not, it'll definitely be up there after that. And so yeah. What else is up, everybody? I made a new video today. I know most of you that watch these streams are pretty young. There's probably not a whole lot of parents on here with kids, maybe a couple of you. But I made a video today. I posted one this morning about having which drum set to buy for your kids if you're looking for an electronic drum set. So if you haven't checked that out yet, and if your parents are wondering, you could show that to them. I thought I only selected 4 sets because, a lot of times with these videos and these lists, I think some YouTubers and some websites kind of overwhelm people with options. And I didn't want to do that. Like, of course, there's more drum sets than the 4 I selected, but I wanted to keep it simple, and keep it to the 4 that I think are the best. And maybe I can kind of explain why I picked those 4 in a little more detail here. If you guys are interested in hearing that, I can. Let me see some of these comments here. And okay, all right, says I knew it. Praise says, was about to cry. Music Chris, do you know like scales and everything on guitar, or do you just play random until it matches how it sounds in your mind? I know a little bit. I am a music teacher, but I teach mostly drums. I have one guitar student, and so I know a little bit of theory. Most of my musical theory is in regards to percussion. But I do know a little. Like, I know, like, I don't consciously think about them when I'm writing music, honestly. I tend to use what I like. A lot of times I'm motivated by like tones, like not so much melody. I mean, sometimes it's that, yeah, but a lot of times what inspires melody to me is actual tones, like instrument sounds. Like, I'll play around with a synth patch and find like a synthesizer sound that I really like, or a guitar sound that I really like, or a drum sound that I really like. And the sound, there's something about the sound kind of influences the way I play and dictates the way I write. Also, sometimes I'll just have an idea before. I tend to write the best, in my opinion, is if I have some kind of idea as to what I want to do before I even set up anything and start playing anything. Like, I'll have like a concept, like a general concept. I won't know exactly what it'll sound like, but I'll have like these loose ideas, like if you take like the Driving Songs EP, like it's all this kind of like hard rock, old school metal sounding stuff. And I had this idea, I was thinking like songs to sound like you're driving a car, like driving, and also driving in momentum and, force. And I had these images in my head of like, and like this old school kind of, like early 80s, late 70s metal was kind of like, I felt like that encapsulated that kind of feeling really well. And so I'll get these ideas like that, and I'll just play off of those ideas. Can you draw me? It's a little weirder. I guess it's a little more abstract. It was like, kind of like, I was thinking, just how like everything is online these days, and we have all this technology and virtual reality and all these different things. Like there's this, I wanted to convey this kind of lonely technology feeling, like in Can You Draw Me, in a way. And I think it kind of does that in some parts. I mean, there's some upbeat stuff in there too, and kind of rockers, like that second track, Ice Cream Pirate, and some of the other ones on there. But I really felt like it had this, it still has this kind of like weird, what's the word? It's not really happy or sad. It's kind of neutral sounding, and just kind of like this kind of AI technology kind of, I don't know. Is that making any sense at all? But that was my concepts. I was having these concepts of like, somebody sitting in a room on virtual reality, like out in some, field somewhere, playing the drums in virtual reality with like flying cars going by. That was kind of like my thoughts with Can You Draw Me? But anyway, let's see. Let me read some of these comments. What sticks do I use? Well, right now I've been using these for a while. I change it up, but the ones I've been using for a while are the LA Special 7As. Like, I really like those sticks, and they're really cheap. They're like $15 or $14 for 3 pairs. Like, it's crazy. I mean, LA Special are basically cheap Pro Marks. They're Pro Marks factory seconds, so you could buy them for really cheap. I mean, Pro Mark 7As would feel exactly the same. I also use the LA Special 5Bs too, so I kind of switch back and forth between those, but more the 7As, and that's a really light stick. But the reason why I started playing those is because on my electronic drums, well, I think on small drums, when you're playing little tiny drums, like electronics are all usually pretty small unless you have like a really expensive one. The smaller sticks I tend to like more because I feel like the drum is so little. Having this gigantic stick, it becomes a little bit more unruly and harder to control. And I like having the finesse of a little stick, a small stick. So yeah, I mean, it's on acoustic drums, it makes a bigger difference, like in sound, because a stick can actually change the way, especially cymbals, a stick can change the way a cymbal sounds a lot when you're playing acoustic drums, especially ride cymbals. And if you're doing like a rim shot on a snare drum, like wood type of a stick can actually change the sound of a snare drum quite a bit if you're doing a rim shot. Like, actually what sounds really nice on a rim shot on a snare is a maple stick. They sound really, and on cymbals, they sound really, really good. But the problem is with maple sticks is they're not very strong. They break kind of quickly. Whereas hickory sticks last a long time, but I don't think they sound quite as good as maple. Oak lasts even longer, but it sounds a little more harsh than both hickory and maple. But anyway, that's getting super nerdy into stickage. Let's see. Praise is eating some pizza. That sounds good. What kind of pizza you eating? Dom says those sticks are great. Prefer lighter sticks. Yeah, they're good. I mean, so far, well, LA Specials actually have been around for a really long time, and I remember buying them when I was young, and they were horrible. But I think the overall quality of of sticks in general has gone up so much that even the factory seconds now are much better than they used to be. I remember like in the past, in like the 90s, when you'd buy LA Specials, one stick would be it'd be like banana shaped sometimes, and like you could roll them, none of them would be straight, they'd all be in like terrible shape. But now it's like I haven't gotten a pair like that. Every time I order them, it's like a 3-pack. They always look good and they always feel good. So I don't really see how they're factory seconds, honestly. Music Chris says, "Okay, thank you, awesome. I'm trying to write music, but I'm not having any luck." Well, one of my biggest secrets is I just don't think about it very hard. Like that may sound weird, but it's like I just let it happen. Like if you overthink, and if you're like trying to make something super unique. I mean, I know I'm not reinventing the wheel. There's so many amazing musicians out there and so many amazing innovations have been made. I'm not trying to be, Charlie Parker or some like groundbreaking musician. I know that, I have a skill set that is a certain amount And I know what it is, and I don't try to make it more grandiose than it is, basically. I just put that. I want to have fun with when I'm playing, and I'm like, a lot of times I'll just do like, I'm going to make a song today. I'll just put a time limit on it, and I'll just finish it. Like, no matter how it sounds. Like, sometimes, and like, the thing is, I just don't take, like, I take it seriously, but not seriously. And I know that's kind of hard for people to understand, but like, it's really serious because I love what I'm doing. Like, I love the work, and and a lot of time, like almost always, I love what comes out. But I have fun with it. I'm not like super like, this has to be the greatest song ever, or like, this has to be the best thing ever made. Like, I'm not like that. I'm like, I'll do the best that I can with what I have, and I think it's really important to complete things and not to get stuck. And to me, that's the most important thing. I start something and I finish it. It's very seldom that I won't finish a song, although it has happened. Like, there's just some that are like, I just think that they're too terrible. And I'm like, nope. Like, or I'll just move on to something else. And then sometimes I'll go back to it. But that doesn't happen very often, where I stop and then come back to it. Usually I do finish things. But I didn't. It gets easier the more you do it. It's like kind of like an exercise. You just practice it. You keep recording and you keep making stuff, and they just keep getting better. And then you start developing what you're good at, and what that you like, and what sounds that you're interested in, and those kind of things. Another thing too is, like, especially with recording technology, it's really easy to go crazy installing plugins and like install like 80 bajillion plugins. And then that can really slow down your progress. I keep a minimum amount of plugins to only stuff that I'll use and that I know that I like already. I don't just go installing a bunch of stuff, because I used to, but I don't do that anymore, because you'll waste hours and hours and hours on that. Just exploring these different plugins. And some people, they find inspiration that way. But for me, I have a few synths that I know I really like. And for mixing and mastering, all I need are good EQs, good compressors, and good limiters. And that's pretty much it. And your basic effects like chorus delay, reverb, flange, those kind of things. But nothing like, I'm not looking for anything completely revolutionary. I don't know. So let's see. Let me go back up and read some of these. Homemade pizza using jar tomato sauce and cheese on tortilla. Interesting. Tortilla pizza, huh? That might be good. It's like a pizza taco, or pizza. What do they call those things? Like Taco Bell has their own names for things that aren't real. Like, they have like a tortilla thing. I don't know. I can't remember. I haven't eaten Taco Bell for a really long time. Okay, all right. Says, I mastered dropping my sticks every time I start getting a good drum solo going. It's amazing. Yeah, well, you just got to make sure you're holding your sticks right. If you're dropping them, then you're probably not holding them correctly. Let me get a stick. So, this is one thing that I'm showing my students all the time. Excuse me. And I see even famous drummers on YouTube holding sticks poorly, and it's crazy to me. But let me get rid of some of these. Let me get rid of this slideshow so I have more stuff here. Okay, so more space, I mean. To hold the stick, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have your thumb is kind of directly behind this part. Like, if you look at your index finger, you have this first bendy part here, your first knuckle, and then there's that area between your second knuckle and the first knuckle, and that is where the stick should be, right there. And then your thumb should be right here. And now these fingers, a lot of times when people start dropping the sticks is because they're going like this. Like, they start leaving those fingers completely loose, or they're gripping with these fingers and they're going like this. This is a horrible thing. Like, you definitely don't want to be doing this at all, because that's when you start playing like this, you're going to lose your pivot point. Your pivot point is right here. And this is the stick can basically move up and down like that. And then you control the bouncing with that part, with these fingers back here. And so if you're holding your stick correctly, you'll drop it less. Also, there's one thing, too, with, like, sweaty hands. That used to happen to me when I played hardcore, like punk in the early days, is my hands would sweat, and then you drop, like, even if you're holding it right, you'll be dropping your sticks because your hands are sweating and it just becomes slippery. And there's really not much you can do about that. You know, you just try not to sweat as much, or you get a fan or something. But, yeah, and stay loose. Like, if you're stiffening up, if your muscles are getting real stiff, that's going to cause you to drop sticks and get tired and things like that too. So try to stay loose, hold the sticks right, and it should get easier. Let's see. And so you never drop your sticks? I drop my sticks, totally. I mean, sometimes. Everybody does, occasionally. A lot of times I'll drop them by, like, I'll hit something, like, on the way up or something. Like, I'll catch a cymbal, or, like, I'll hit my hands together, or like, some kind of stupid thing, and then I'll drop something. It happens. And okay, all right, says also proper technique prevents stick dropping, but doesn't guarantee it won't happen. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it just happens. I mean, sometimes, you know, like every now and then you'll do, like, I've had weird things happen. Like, I remember one time I was playing and my stick somehow managed to catch right there and then flung my glasses across the room. I didn't hit myself. I just managed to get my stick right there under the glasses. And then when I was going down to hit something, I flung my glasses across the room and broke them. They smashed against the wall and broke. Like, and sometimes, like, I've gone to hit my floor tom and whacked myself in the knee really hard and thought I was going to, like, shatter my kneecap. Yeah, so, I mean, drumming accidents can happen. Buttery Avatar says it's a UK thing. Tortilla pizza is a UK thing. Really? Interesting. Subdemonic, I started watching you because the Nitro Mesh. I have one now. Very cool. Nitro Mesh, definitely a popular, hugely popular drum set. It's still really, really popular. You know what's crazy? I think I found the original... Well, I mean, because the Nitro Mesh, the module for the Nitro Mesh is actually a Medeli module that's been around for quite some time. And I think the first one that I've seen, because I've been looking at these old drum sets on YouTube and stuff, there's an old D-drum electronic kit. I think it's called the D1 or D. I can't remember what it's called. I should have prepared more. But it has it looks totally different, but absolutely no doubt about it. When you hear it, you're like, that's the Alesis Nitro. It's like the same exact module. And I think it was out in 2012 or somewhere around there. It is the difference, though. If you look at the module itself, it looks totally different. It has, like, on the back, it has all individual inputs instead of a cable snake. But it still has the buttons. When I first saw it on the top, it had the drum buttons, you know, to assign the pads, and that's how I knew. I was like, I bet this thing's an Alesis Nitro module. Almost every time you see those buttons there, those preview buttons, like there's a lot of... I know Behringer has one that uses the same module. There's the actual Medeli set that uses the same module, and there's D-drum that has the same module. And there's a Cat. There's a Cat percussion. I think it's the KT... 3, maybe? I could be wrong about that, but one of the Cat percussion ones is also the Nitro module. So that module has been around. It's been through a lot of different iterations of a lot of different companies. It's pretty crazy how long that thing has lasted, actually. Let's see. Okay, all right, says grip tape helps. I hope you don't mean like skateboard grip tape. That would like tear your hands apart. Music Chris says also try to keep your thumb turned like to the inside, not on top of the stick. Yeah, well, I always tell people your like this part, your palm should be facing down towards the ground, not like up like this. So, although occasionally when I'm hitting my ride cymbal, I flip my hand over. If I want to hit the outside of the bell, I'll flip my hand over this way. But it's still not a great habit to do. Usually you want to have it, you know, like this with your palm facing down. And let's see. Oh, okay, all right. Says use marching drumstick tape and do half or fulcrum tape style. Yeah, I guess that could work. I think they make sticks now too that have like grip on them, like tape type grip. I don't like putting tape on my sticks though, personally, but some people like it. Rishi Gori says, oof. Linda Miller, keep a stick bag on your floor tom for a quick stick. Yeah, exactly. I always do that. Okay, all right. That happened to me one time, but it actually hit my eye. The floor tom incident happened too, but the snare and hi-hat. Ouch. Yeah, the stick in the eye can really hurt. And back in the olden days when they used to have like metal, like small metal bolts on top of the cymbals, and I remember when I was a kid busting my knuckle on one of those and like bleeding all over my cymbal at one time. Buttery Avatar says, I'm a beginner. Yeah, well, I mean, you're a beginner. Focus on holding the sticks right. I think that's the best advice, you know. And slow down. Like, don't try to play too fast. A lot of my students, they always try to play way too fast. Like, I'll be teaching them something, they try to speed it up and speed it up. It's better to play slow and steady than fast and sloppy. Like, all 100% of the time. So slow down. I know you're playing too fast. Hubba Hubba says, cool bracelet. Thanks. It's from Amazon. It's just a cheap bracelet. I like it, though. Okay, all right. Put a stick on each side of you, bass drum, hi-hat, floor tom, so wherever you are on the kit, you could grab a stick. Yeah, just have them like taped to your body, you know, like sticks all over the place. Have a stick hat. That'd be good. They make those, they're like a little cup that clamps onto the side of the hi-hat stand. I've seen those, too, where you can put sticks in. I have a stick bag that I put on my floor tom usually when I'm playing gigs. On my kit here at home, I just have them laying on the floor next to the drums. Praise says, do you hit your hand on the edge of the drum sometimes? Yeah, it happens. It has happened, for sure. Dom, I used to wear gloves. Yeah, the drumming glove thing, a lot of people make fun of those, but I understand it. I've thought about it before, even though I've never done it. I was very close to buying them at one point, though, when my hands were just so dry and so brittle. It was becoming really painful to play. But then I found some better moisturizer, and I didn't have to buy them. But I understand why people want to wear them, like, because your hands can get screwed up, especially the older you get. It's like when you're a kid, like your skin is like it's more like elastic and can like regenerate faster. But as you get older, it's like becomes drier and cracks easier and just sucks more. Okay, all right, says grip tape also prevents your sticks from getting damaged from rim shots. Music Chris says, I sliced my finger open on a cymbal on stage one time and it was slinging blood everywhere. Ew. Yikes. Yeah, you ever get the cymbal under the thumbnail when you go to choke it? That really hurts. That's super painful. Not a pleasant experience at all. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember the band, the Goo Goo Dolls. They were like this old alternative band from the 90s. But they were actually around for a really, really long time before they became famous. And they were kind of in, the punk post-hardcore scene. And they used to play a lot. I would see them, actually. I saw them several times. And in fact, the guitar player in my band at the time, Lincoln, he had bought an SG from... Well, I don't think he bought it directly from the guy, but he bought it from his friend, and it was originally the guitar player from the Goo Goo Dolls SG. But anyway, like, they're around. Like, but we saw them. I remember I think we might have played a show with them, or I was just there, and like there was like hardly anybody at this show. It was crazy, and like it's funny to think like how big that band got, because I'd seen them several times with like 10 people there. But anyway, it was one of those times they were playing, and their drummer had a drum riser on the stage, and they were playing. It was at the Student Union in Morgantown, West Virginia, and there was like I said, like 20 people there or something. And they were playing, and the drummer, he had his drum set up on this drum riser, and he had the creeping bass drum. It just kept creeping forward, forward, and forward. And then eventually it just got to the edge of the drum riser, and the whole kit just fell off, like in the middle of their set. And it was like just the whole thing just came crashing down. Like, it was crazy. I felt so bad for them. And actually, I kind of liked them back then. Like, I think they were better in the early days. They were more punk. And they were a good band. I mean, I enjoyed them when I saw them, but then after they got really big, I never saw them again. But yeah, it was crazy though. It was like the biggest drum accident I'd ever seen on a stage. It was like, because the whole thing, like when it fell, it just took down everything with it. Like everything just went tumbling off the drum riser. It was pretty bad. Dom said, oh wait, I missed some. Music Chris says, yep, I do. Dom says, I've since gone to lighter sticks and used ones that have natural finish versus coated. Goo Goo Dolls from Buffalo, New York. Yep, they're from Buffalo. And actually, I think where John had bought that SG, it was when we were on tour. He got it in Buffalo. And he bought it from one of the bands that we were playing with. God, my hair looks terrible today. He bought it from one of the bands that we were playing with. And I can't remember if it was that guy from the... I remember it was the guitar from the guy from the Goo Goo Dolls, but I can't remember if he was playing in the band that we played with or if it was his friend or something. Some kind of weird connection there. Sebastian says, hey, just got here. Congrats to the winner. Yeah, congrats, Dominic. And OK, all right, says, once I got a bloodbath blister when I was playing Weird Al's Albuquerque because I was gripping the sticks way too tight. It annoyed me a lot because I couldn't drum without pain due to it. Yeah, it's weird. I never get blisters anymore. Like, now my hands just crack open. Like, when you're young, like when I said, I was talking about before, when you're younger, you get blisters. But now it's like they just split. Like, I'll just literally, as the skin will just crack. But... And Sebastian says, one time a drummer hit the cymbal so hard that it moved around and cut the back of my right arm. Wow. I was standing with the drummer to my back. That's pretty bad. Broken cymbals can be dangerous. Like if you get like really, really, Vampire Logic says, I'm from Buffalo. I hate the Goose so much I moved to Toronto. Well, they weren't bad though in the early days. You got to admit, like the very early days before they became like alt rock famous, they were more like pop punk and they weren't that bad. I thought they were pretty good. And Dom says, that's me. Thank you, Sebastian. Oh, okay, Dom. Now I'm making the connection that's you and your screen name with who you are. I don't know why it took me so long to figure that out, but considering it's the first 3 letters of your name. But yeah, okay, so now it all makes sense. Because a lot of times people submitted covers and like there was like no information. Like it'd just be like one of them, I still don't know who it is. Who is it? Let me see the list here. JMK 1975. Like, I don't know who that is. They didn't put their name. They didn't say who their screen name was on YouTube or anything. So, I mean, I don't mind, but, it's just a little unclear. Like, sometimes you get these mysterious messages from people. Okay, all right. First live experience has been amazing. Thank you, Demonic. Oh, you're welcome. Glad you're enjoying it. I know there's more people around earlier on my channel because I finally did the analytics thing where I could see when people watch my videos, and it's actually usually in the morning, which is why I've been posting videos in the morning, but I really can't do the stream in the morning because usually Tuesdays are like my day to do errands and things like that and run around. So 4 p.m. is the time for the streams. All right, let's take a break and play another song. So let's play something else off of Can You Draw Me? And I'll play one that there's never been on YouTube or anything like that. This one is called Q1. And this actually, wait, before I start it. Q actually just in this context just stands for quarantine. And this was the first song that I made after the lockdown back in last March here in New York. So that's why it was called Q1. And this one's a more electronic sounding track off the album. So here we go. Okay, yeah, that was Q1 off of Can You Draw Me? Let me turn my webcam back on. And that one was done basically all in Ableton. I think it was all with Ableton instruments using my MIDI controller and Ableton Live only, which is totally a way to make music. Like, Ableton has everything in it that you need, that you could make a lot of music with. So yeah, but little chill kind of interlude there in the middle of the album. So if you haven't checked out Can You Draw Me yet, please do. It's on all the streaming services already, and you can also get it at anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com. It is there, and I'm pretty proud of it. Oh, also, now, part of the problem with releasing so much music is, like, I have to run from one promotion right into the next one. But me and my friend Chiaki Yamamoto from Japan, well, she lives in Long Island now, and our project Hums is releasing a new EP, I think. Is it tomorrow? Wait, I think it's tomorrow. It's either tomorrow or the next day. Hold on, let me get the date right. And it's just a 2-song EP. We released 2 songs before, and so we have another 2 songs coming out, which is coming out when? Tomorrow. Yeah, so it's tomorrow. Here's the Bandcamp link, but it'll also be on all the streaming services as well. And I think it's really good. Like, Chiaki, when I make music with Chiaki, it's like a totally different vibe than the stuff I do, because she's the one writing the material and I'm just producing and playing instruments. So the way that it works is she writes the songs, records a guitar part and a rough vocal part usually, and sends them to me, and then I'll put on whatever I'm going to put on it, like drums and bass and synths and things like that. Do kind of a rough mix, send it back to her. She'll put some vocals on it, send it back to me, and then maybe do some backing vocals and things like that, and then I'll mix it and do some other stuff to it, and that's kind of how we work. And it's been working really well, and I'm really, really happy with these 2 new songs that are coming out. I think you guys are going to like it a lot. But anyway, next week, I have to confirm with her, but if she's ready, she was going to come on and it kind of has to be next week because I won't be available for the one after that. She's going to come on the stream and do live versions of the 2 new songs to my backing tracks. So that should be really cool as a live stream. So I'm going to confirm that with her a little bit later today to make sure that she's still going to be able to do it, but she should be ready. She usually when Chiaki says she's going to do something, she always does it. Like, she's really reliable, and that's one of the things that's really great about working with her, because a lot of times you work with people, you try to work with people on music, and they can kind of flake out sometimes, but has not been the case with Chiaki. She's really, really great to work with, and really, really amazing songwriter too, and singer. I love what she does. So look forward to that coming out tomorrow, and the live performance by Chiaki next Tuesday, most likely. Let me read some of these comments here again. Harry Sittenberry says, "This is good. There's some good sounds in there. I grabbed my headphones." Oh, cool. Thank you. Okay, all right. I have a problem with biting my nails and chewing on the skin around my fingertips. That song helped a lot. I kind of forget all about my problems. If you want to put it another way, another amazing gift from Demonic. Oh, thank you. I used to do that a lot too. I still do it occasionally, chew on especially like the skin next to my fingernail. It's like a nervous habit, but you got to try to break it. And just try to relax. Do something productive to occupy your time, like make music, and make something creative, paint, draw. A lot of things like that help with that kind of nervous energy. You just put it towards something else. And Music Chris says, "Awesome, can't wait." Yeah, me too. And Dom says, "I'm a huge fan of Hum and now Hums." Hum, I've never heard of Hum. But yeah, cool. The thing is with Hums, like, because Chiaki, she came up with the name, and she wrote it with the lowercase. Like, you literally can't write lowercase band names on streaming services. They won't let you do it. It has to be uppercase. Like, they make you title things in uppercase. So if you go on Spotify and everything, it'll be written with an uppercase H, because they won't let us do it. The weird thing is too, is like when I did Can You Draw Me? No, it's As the Sun Rises, the last Manasota album. For some reason they titled that one, they auto corrected it to have the, and I guess that's correct, lowercase. So it's capital As, lowercase the, capital Sun, capital Rises. And so I just made it like that on my Bandcamp page too to match it. But I thought that was odd. It's either all I guess that's correct. You don't capitalize the, but then it's titles. It's like, why do you capitalize all the words, but not the words like the and is? Like, I don't know. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But yeah, that's weird. Oh, scroll up. Behringer question. Okay, let me see. Vampire Logic says, also, do you have a take on the Behringer cloning sense debates going on now? I love it because it makes things more accessible for hardware synth experiences. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I don't know exactly how they're getting away with it. Like, are they just using, like, no longer trademarked, or are they licensing the stuff? How are they doing it exactly? I don't really know. And did I miss a lot of comments here? Let me see. Vampire Logic says, I've been listening to Depeche Mode all day, so this track is kind of fitting. What did you use on this? Okay, yeah. So it was all Ableton. I don't know if you heard me say that before. And Sebastian says, I was listening to Manasota on YouTube the other day. It recommends the Manasota project videos too. Now I'm listening to Echoscape too. Oh, very cool. That's great, man. Thank you. And Echoscape, if you guys watching this didn't know, that is another friend of mine who I've collaborated with, Satoshi Inoue, also from Japan. And I've been on a couple of his releases too. And actually, that's how I met Chiaki, was through Satoshi. Me and Satoshi used to play together. He used to live here in Brooklyn, and we played together in a band called Quiet Sons. And then he started his own project called Echoscape, and I helped him on a couple EPs, recorded them with him, and helped mix and played the drums and stuff on them. And then he moved back to Japan, and then his friend Chiaki moved here, and he told me about her moving here. And then so we started a thing together after she came here. So that's how all that went down. But Satoshi's awesome. He's a really, really awesome guitar player, and the Echoscape stuff you should definitely check out too. Everybody out there. Now, let me get a link to that too. So let's see here. And Satoshi was one of the first people I met when I moved to Brooklyn, actually. I was playing a show. There used to be this place in Williamsburg called the Trash Bar. It went out of business, unfortunately, but it was a pretty cool, crappy place. Like it was a fitting name because it was really crappy in there. But they had, good shows, and a lot of like smaller bands would play there, and I met some cool people in there. Anyway, here's the link to Echoscape. But I met him there. I was playing a show with one of my old friends who's not from New York, Derek Hart. I had moved here, and Derek was coming through, just basically passing through town, and he was going to play solo, but then he was like, hey, you want to play with me at this show? And I was like, yeah, and maybe I could get my friend Ronan to play bass. So a lot of you guys probably know about Ronan already. Another friend of mine that I play with here, Ronan Conroy, that I've posted videos with. So Ronan played bass, and this is with Derek Hart, and I was on drums, and then Satoshi's band at the time, who I can't remember their name, was playing that same show, and that's how I met Satoshi. I saw him play there. I thought that he was, the band was pretty cool, but I thought he was kind of the best part, and I was like, yeah, this guy's cool. And so I started talking to him, and then just started up a friendship. Then he started playing bass in the band that I was playing in at the time, Quiet Sons, and then Quiet Sons kind of fell apart, and then started with Echoscape, and et cetera, et cetera. Let's see, did I miss any other comments here? Sebastian says the perfect track for a late night walk or some urban exploration. Yeah, totally. Have you guys all seen the VR video yet that I posted? If you haven't, check that out. I just got this VR camera. Let me show you guys what the camera looks like. This thing is so cool. And surprisingly not that expensive. It's a Kodak Pix Pro 360. And it has basically two 180 cams on each side. There's a 180-degree camera there, then a 180-degree camera here. And it records in a full 360 degrees. And you can watch the videos in virtual reality. You can also watch them in YouTube, just using... You could move around and see all the different angles on the screen if you just drag the mouse around. Or if you're watching on your phone, all you have to do is move your phone around. But if you have a VR headset, like something like this, then you can actually put this on and watch the video in full virtual reality, which is really, really cool. I plan on doing more of these. I need to think of some creative ways to do it, but I have some ideas. Hopefully going to be doing some while I'm in Florida. Maybe try to go some like cool remote locations and do some drumming. I'm going to take my little Pile Pro tabletop drum set with me. And I don't know, there's some cool, I know some good spots there. Like there's some forests and things like that where I could go to that might look really, really cool in 360. And I could do some music out there. It'd be really interesting. So I'm going to hopefully be able to do that. Hopefully I won't get bit by a snake or eaten by an alligator or anything while I'm doing it. But that never happened to me in the past, but you never know. There's all kinds of stuff out there. There's like wild pigs running around and snakes and alligators, and Florida's a crazy place, wild place. Let's see. Dom says indie alt rock band in regards to Hum. Great band. Cool. Dom also says the latest Behringer key step clone is really evil. The price gap is only $10. You mean it's $10 difference between the... Wait, I'm confused. What is that? A clone key step clone? I don't even know what a key step is. Sorry. But I think it's cool. I like software emulators, like synth emulators. I'm a lot less into hardware synths these days, honestly, than I used to be, because they just take up so much space. I like things that don't take up a lot of space because then I can have more of them. So I tend to, I have one hardware synth. It's the Kawai K1M, the module version. And then I have my MIDI controller, which is just sitting right here. And so the MIDI controller, I basically control... Like I actually have a few software synths that I like a lot. I've talked about them before. They're like a lot of the UVI stuff. the Dark Light and the Emulation 1, and then the, what's the one called? Digital Sensations. So those three are pretty much, those with the K1, that's pretty much all I use, or just those three. And well, there's some other ones too. I'm lying. I have my Mothman synths and some other things that I've had, but I know which ones I like, and I'm past the point of, installing new ones, just because it's like, you can get so many sounds out of just one of them. I mean, it just becomes overwhelming, if you have too much stuff. Anyway. But, I say that now, but I'll probably install something at some point eventually. But I just try not to overdo it. That's what I'm saying. And Vampire Logic says... Oh, wait. You have so much music. It's like your own Prince vault. Yeah, I have a lot. I was thinking about getting rid of some of the older stuff on the Bandcamp page. Like, there's some of my old bands on there, like Enderhall and, like... Disc Plastic and some other stuff on there that doesn't really represent me so well these days. So I was thinking about getting rid of some of that, but then I was like, I don't know. People keep buying that Enderhall thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave it there. I have all the Lincoln stuff too, which I suppose I could post. But the thing is with that is, well, there are... Lincoln was essentially the same band as Enderhall, so it's really, I don't see how it's any different, but Lincoln had a lot of labels, kind of asking us to do stuff, and it was kind of this thing where it was like, I don't know, we never were able to agree with any of the labels, the deals they wanted to do with us, so it never happened, but maybe I should just put it up there. I don't know. The thing is with that stuff, it's so old for me, and the Lincoln stuff is good, but I just kind of I feel like it attracts a certain older, fan base that I had, from when I was a kid, and I'm cool with those guys. I think it's great that they still like that stuff, but the problem is with a lot of them is they never want to check out anything new, and it's actually kind of annoying. It's because I feel like I've done much better music since Lincoln, and I have a good enough fan base now that knows Demonic Sweaters, probably bigger than Lincoln was at this point. So it's just kind of I wish that the older, fans would give the new stuff a chance, I think, because it's just kind of annoying sometimes. It's that stuff was cool for being 20 years ago. That was pretty cool, but times have changed, man. Get with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh on that, but I like it too. It was part of my childhood, and those are great memories, and I really liked playing that music at the time, and I still think it's good, but it's just old. I'm on to different stuff and think the newer stuff is more exciting personally. Anyway, let me read some more of these comments. Vampire Logic says, I don't know how they get away with it either, which is why I buy them as soon as I have enough money in case they get pulled. Yeah, there's got to be some... They wouldn't do it if it's illegal, because, even drum companies that make electronic drums with mesh heads on them have to pay Roland to use mesh heads, because Roland has a trademark on mesh heads. So anybody that sells mesh heads or any drums that have mesh heads on them, Roland's getting money. Because they basically invented that, and they patented. Well, I don't know if they invented it, but they patented it, and so there must be some way that they're doing it legally. They must find patents that run out or something, because I don't think they would do it otherwise. It's too risky. You would risk ruining your business from going out of business if you did stuff like that. So it must be legal. I don't know. Okay, all right, says Demonic. Any tips on getting gigs and convincing people to let your band play at their bar or something? Honestly, I'm so far out of that scene. But the way I used to do it is you just send them stuff. You just keep asking. You send them demos. A lot of times, it just depends on where you are, too. New York City is a weird place. because, well, now there's no gigs, but when there was gigs, it's actually quite easy to get them. But a lot of times the promoters and stuff would make these like incredibly high demands. It'd be like, you have to draw this many people to your show, and you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to promote, and I don't know, they would just have these incredibly high demands where you don't get paid unless you bring 20 plus people to a gig or something like that, and you'd get on like a waiting list, but you could get the gig. Even if you didn't get the people there, you could still get the gig. It's just that supposedly they wouldn't call you back for another gig if you don't get the people. But when Demonic Sweaters would actually play, like when I would play as Demonic Sweaters, I played a lot from 2013 to probably 2016. I was playing all the damn time, and nobody was coming to these shows. Like I had a couple that had a lot of people, but for some reason the places just kept calling me back. Like, and since up until the quarantine, I would still get messages from promoters trying to get me to play, and I didn't understand why. Like, so I think you just have to be persistent. That's the main thing. And I think I was so persistent in the beginning, then that is what got that ball rolling. And once you get the ball rolling, then it just sort of happens. You don't really have to think about it anymore. And then another way too is to go, if you're somewhere where there's shows, go see shows and just talk to the bands and introduce yourself and stuff like that. Because other bands can get you shows, and, you just meet people and you network and stuff like that. And that can get you shows. Like I said, it depends where you are, what type of climate it is, what type of music scene it is. If you're in a small town, can be drastically different than a large city. A large city is largely, anonymous, and the faceless. You're communicating through emails, and you don't you might book a whole series of shows through a promoter through email, and you never actually meet that person. Like, that has happened to me several times where I've played shows and the person who put on the show doesn't even attend. Like, that's actually quite common in New York City. But if you're in a small town, like when I used to live in Morgantown, West Virginia, there's like one place to play or two places to play, and you just have to know people. You just know the bands, and the people who own the bar or run the bar, and you just become friends with them and talk to them. That's pretty much it. But being persistent is really the main thing. Just keep sending them emails. Call them. If they don't respond, call them. If they don't respond to that, send them another email. Send them a fax if they have a fax machine. Just drive them crazy until they give you a show. That's pretty much what you do. Let's see. Dom says, sweet, I'll check it out later. Doug, that was cool on your video. Oh, thanks. Audra Keystep is a MIDI keyboard with an arpeggiator. Okay. Now I didn't know which one you're talking about now. Music Chris, is Ableton Live easier to use than Cubase AI? Do you think Cubase AI is hard? Have I used AI? I've used Cubase, like older versions, LE and SE and what was the SX? I don't know if I've ever used AI. But I always thought Cubase was really easy, or really intuitive. But as far as being Ableton being easier, it's just different. I mean, once you get the hang of Ableton, it starts to be easier, because it's like, I don't know, Ableton's more like an instrument in itself. And the one really good thing about Ableton is there's a ton of great tutorials about it on YouTube. If you want to learn Ableton, check out Mad Zach. Mad Zach on YouTube. Amazing at Ableton. This guy is so good. I mean, I don't know if he still does tutorials. A lot of his tutorials are probably old, but they're still really, really good and really useful. You can learn a lot. Excuse me. And his music's awesome too. It's kind of dubstep, but it's really good. He's just, he does a lot of like pad controlling stuff. He's more DJ oriented, but you can learn a lot about Ableton by watching Mad Zach. And I think I learned a lot about it by watching his videos. So definitely check that out. Cubase, like I said, I haven't used AI in so long, or Cubase in so long, and I don't think I've ever used AI. I don't know really how difficult it is. But they're all, I think, like most DAWs are pretty similar except for Ableton. Like Ableton is actually the most different out of all of them because it works in a more non-linear way. You can use it in a linear way, but its real strength is using like, its clips. So you can record, like, for example, in that song Ice Cream Pirate that I played earlier. Let me play just a little snippet of it again so you guys can hear what I'm talking about. Like this song. Even though that song sounds kind of like a rock song and sounds like it was like linearly played, it really wasn't. What I really like about Ableton is you could come up with ideas, like quick ideas, and make little clips, and then you can experiment with those clips, and you don't even have to have an arrangement. So the arrangement came after I had all the different clips thought of, and then what I'll do is I'll map all those clips to my controller, and then I'll play in real time the arrangement, and then I'll figure out an arrangement, and then I'll play drums linear, like to the song. But it's really cool with Ableton is you can compose in this non-linear fashion, so you don't have to have a song arrangement to record. You can come up with that later. All you have to have is ideas, and then you can arrange things however you want very easily. And you can do that in other DAWs too, but not as fluidly as you can in Ableton. I think because then you're moving things around and copying and pasting and things like that. Ableton, it's like literally you're just, you have a session view and you have an arrangement view, and you can have a MIDI controller assigned, like I'll use my pad controller and assign it to all my different parts. And so I can literally hit record and start triggering different parts in different arrangements and experiment with it. And then if I don't like it, all I have to do is just do it again and try something different. And you can save different versions of it and see which one you like. It's just really, really great. I mean, Ableton, I think, is the best. I've said that a lot, but I do. It really is just so great. And now I have standard 10, and I'm going to get the free upgrade to 11 whenever it comes out. And I'm really excited about 11 because it has so many awesome features, like new features. It just looks really, really cool. Let's see, who else commented here? Okay, all right, says, got a Simmons SD600 with the expansion kit for Christmas. It's the exact same as the acoustic kit I sadly couldn't get due to stock reasons. Can't wait until Christmas Day when I can play it. Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations. Can't wait till you can play it too. I mean, it's so great to be able to play drums at home, and electronic drums are just so much fun because they're not loud. So you can play them in more places. And let's see, Linda Millard's, oh wait, I missed one. Music Chris, I have an Epiphone Les Paul. Also have the traditional Pro with a coil tap. Oh, those traditional Pros are really cool. Really cool guitars. I have the Epiphone Les Paul Studio. And I took that out of the case today, first time in a while, and put a humidifier in there because they've been putting our heat on in the apartment, and it's like nuclear hot in this apartment. Even though it's cold outside. But that's the thing. New York City, like the heat in the buildings is also old, and it's all like steam heat. It's either really, really hot or just freezing cold. Like there's no happy medium. Like when they turn on the heat here, it's like crazy hot. Like literally we have to turn on the air conditioner. It gets so hot in the room because of the heat. It's crazy. And it's like, 30 degrees outside, and it'll be that hot in our room we have to turn on the AC. Linda Millard says, I used to meet other bands that wanted openers. That's a way to get gigs. Yeah, exactly. Introduce yourself to bands. You don't have to. A lot of people think that if you network, it's being fake, but it's not. I mean, if you really see a band you like, just go talk to them and be like, hey, can we play a show with you guys? That's all. And it's not being fake. A lot of times they'll help you out. And if you're into the same stuff, then they'll want you to play with them. So, yeah, do that. Dom says, guys, smash the like button. Yeah, thanks, Dom. Smash it. Rue Clementine, hi, me here. Hello, Rue. Nice. Congratulations. Also, me got an Elisa Surge. Oh, cool. How do you like the Surge? It's got a lot of trigger surfaces on it, which is really cool. I think the Surge, it's weird. Like, Elisa's is confusing to me because I think the Nitro and Surge are great kits. But then if you go up higher from those, like the Crimson, like I don't understand the purpose of the Crimson. To me, it sounds no better than the Surge. And it's basically the same exact trigger setup. It just has a different module that sounds different, but not better. Like, so I don't really quite understand it, but it costs more. Like, I don't understand the purpose of that kit. And then there's also the DK or the DM10 Mark II, which has a nice, I think it's a really good set of pads. But again, the module, I just do not think sounds very, if that's going up to be one of their higher end kits, it doesn't sound that good to me. I mean, it sounds okay, but it's not like that much better, because it's still a Modeli module, I think. I'm pretty sure the DM10 is a Modeli module. And I think the original DM10, the old one, from the videos I've watched, the old silver one with the sliders on it sounded better to me. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just how people are setting them. I'm sure you could most definitely get a DM10 to sound great. I mean, I could get the Nitro to sound great. You can get anything to sound great if you're just spend enough time with it. But just first impressions, listening to those, it's weird to me that, I feel like that they have, Alesis makes so many different sets in so many different like overlapping price points that it's strange. And now they have even more. I was looking at their website the other day. They have all these like new kits that are like even cheaper than the Turbo. And they have like those really like, like they're not even real pedals. They're like the sustain pedal type pedals on them. Really cheap. Really, really cheap. And I guess they're marketing towards kids with those. But those sustain-y type pedals, that's like the things that came with that pile. Those aren't good. Like, you really can't. I mean, I could play on those, but I've been playing for like, decades, But if you're trying to learn the drums, having this little sustain pedal that's going to be sliding around on the floor is like the last thing you'd want to get. But you can replace them with like Rock Band pedals, which is what I did on my pile. Let's see. Linda Millard says, sometimes having an act can get people talking. Just be careful if it fire. Huh? I don't get that one. Wait, did I read it right? Sometimes having an act can get people talking. Just be careful if it fire. No Nintendo. Dom says, I use Reason 10 as my DAW and Akai Force. Force works similarly to Ableton Live in Matrix mode. Okay. Well, yeah, because the Akai stuff's made to work with like pad controllers, right? That makes sense. Music Chris, yes, it's confusing because I'm new to DAWs. I mean, I always say use Ableton. I mean, I like Cubase. I used to love Cubase. But once I've gone to Ableton, it's like I find little reason to use anything else. I still have Reaper, and I do use Reaper for certain things. And before I upgraded to Ableton Standard, I was still using Reaper a lot more when I wanted to use more than like 2 aux sends, because the limited version of Live is, limited in that way. But now that I have the full version, it's kind of like I don't really go into Reaper as much, because Reaper, there's a couple things, like I really love Reaper's audio, like how it works with audio, but there's a couple things about MIDI that I don't like so much in Reaper. Like its quantization is terrible. It gets things wrong all the time. Like if you try to quantize in Reaper, I don't know what it is. It's just it's got a bad algorithm for quantization, I think. Cubase always did that really well. Ableton does it amazingly well. Pro Tools did it fairly well too. I used to use Pro Tools as well, but I don't know. I feel like Pro Tools is kind of behind at this point. They've been around for so long and they're kind of stuck in their ways. And I really don't like how the Pro Tool, the Avid Cloud is really unreliable. I lost a lot of music using that thing. and it really kind of ticked me off, so I stopped using it. Music crit. Oh wait, I read that one already. Okay, all right. Says I wish electronic kits were quiet, constant hitting sounds. No drum kit would ever be completely quiet. Meaning my grandma will never allow me to play anytime she's watching TV. Sadly, yeah. I mean, they still make sound, but it's definitely not as loud as real drum, like acoustic drums. But you could do some things to make them even quieter. You know, you can get like the silent strike beater, mesh heads. Make sure you're using, quiet cymbals and things like that. You can use those floating risers. You can go to you could even soundproof a room if you have the means. But okay, all right, says, but when I'm home alone, I can go crazy on the drums, and I take that opportunity as soon as I get it. Yeah, cool. I think back when I was a kid, like I was so lucky. When I was like 10, when I first started playing the drums, my dad was like the most chill guy in the entire world. He bought me it was an acoustic drum set. And so were all of my neighbors. We lived in an apartment complex when I was 10 years old, and I had a full drum set in my bedroom, and I would play. We had neighbors that lived across from us, above us. We were on the ground floor, but they lived above us and across from us in all directions, and nobody ever complained. Like, it's crazy to think about that. And my dad too, he would be there, and me and my sister would be playing keyboards or bass or something, or sometimes she'd be playing drums, and we'd have friends over. We'd all be jamming in the bedroom and like just playing music insanely loud as kids with in this tiny little apartment with people living all around us, and not a single person complained, it's weird. I guess the 80s people were just way more relaxed than they are now. And then also in that apartment complex, the lady who was the manager, she heard us playing one day, and instead of yelling at us, she came in, she knocked on the door. She was she thought we were all really cute, because we were all 10 years old, playing all this music. She was like, "Oh, you nice boys." And she was like, we have this party room. It was the party room for the apartment complex, where they could rent out. She's like, "You guys can go up there and play anytime you want." And so they had a stage, and it was this big, they had lights and all this stuff in there. And we took all our gear up there, and she just let us practice in there. And then we would play in there all the time, and our friends would come in there. And we had this party room that was basically our own free, clubhouse where we could practice. It was amazing. I was so incredibly lucky. I mean, as a kid, it was so encouraged for me to play music from everybody, so that was always really great. I mean, it was my dad's idea. I never would have thought of it. I was riding skateboards, and my dad was like, "Hey," he was like, "You think you might want to play the drums?" And I was like, "Okay." It was his idea. I didn't think of it, but yeah, it was really cool. But I really loved it. Well, because first, I mean, the reason why that happened, I might have told this story before, but first, when we first moved to that apartment complex, everybody all of my friends that I was meeting, they all played guitar. I met my friend Jay and this other kid, Josh, and they both played guitar. So I wanted a guitar too. And the first band that I ever formed was all three of us playing guitar, and we were called Toxic Oxnot. And it was when I was 9 or 10 years old. And so, but we all played guitar, none of us could really play. I think Jay could play a little bit, but me and Josh couldn't play at all. And then Josh moved, and my hands were really, really small. I was a really puny child, and I could barely fit around the neck. And so then my dad was like, "Well, maybe you should play the drums, because when I was even younger, I used to always bang on, my aunt had this bar, and they would always set me up on the bar, give me mixer sticks, and I would always bang on the glasses to all the music. And so that was what gave me the idea that I should play the drums. And so that's what, then after that I remember we went searching for a drum set. We checked a few newspaper ads, and we went over to a few different places, and I tried some out from different houses and stuff like that. And then finally we got one. There used to be this place. This is back in West Virginia in the 1980s, mind you. It was a totally different world than it is today. I mean, West Virginia is a different world anyways, but especially in the 1980s, there was this place in this little town called West Milford, population of probably like 500, maybe 500 people, like no lie, like barely anybody lived in this place. And this music store was called Strings and Things, and it was literally in a guy's shed in his yard. That's where it was. Like literally, no exaggeration. It was a shed, that looked like a homemade shack that he had put together in his yard. And you went out there and there was like guitars hanging from ropes and things. And some of them he made, and he had cowboy boots filled with drumsticks. And so we went out there and we got my first drum set there. And actually it was a really cool drum set. Now thinking back on it, I remember it had, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was a Ludwig part of it. Like, I think the bass drum was a Ludwig, and then it probably had a couple Slingerland parts and some maybe Japanese, parts on it. But it was all sparkly, vintage stuff. And I remember he gave me an old Zildjian ride. Like, it was like this really old Zildjian ride. It sounded awesome. And the drums sounded awesome. I mean, they were like really vintage and really old, but they sounded really cool. And as a kid, they were really great. And they were concert toms. I remember the toms had no bottom heads. They were concert toms, but they were sparkle. I think it had like a blue bass drum and red toms, or maybe 2 red toms and a blue floor tom. And then I had the one Zildjian cymbal and then some camber hi-hats. And that was all I had, but in the beginning. And they were really, really cool, though. But that's how I got my first set. And it was at that place, Strings and Things. But then later, bands I was in, we kept getting stuff from that guy. What was his name? Ron, at Strings and Things, up until he died. Like, he was pretty old. But he always had cool stuff there, and he would always give us, like, really amazing deals. And I was actually in a really bad car accident once when I was going out there with my friend Dan. So rambling on to a bunch of different stories, but yeah, we were on our way to Strings and Things one time and rolled a Ford Bronco. Yeah, it was pretty bad, but luckily we weren't seriously injured, but it was crazy. It totaled the Bronco. But anyway, let me read some of these comments here. Okay, all right, says, I wish my home was like that. Yeah, well, you will be in different homes at all different stages of your life. Some of them will be music friendly, some of them will not. So it's just how it goes. Trixie says, between Ableton and FL Studio, which do you prefer and why? Definitely Ableton. I hate FL Studio. I've never liked it. And why is because I just never liked it. Like, every time I've tried to use it, I found it weird, like font and stuff, and like just really hard to figure out what's going on. I didn't like the layout of it, and I just did not find it intuitive at all. I've just never liked FL Studio. Ableton, I think, I don't know. I know some people like FL Studio, but it's not my thing. I've just never been into it. Let's see. Okay, all right. It says, what is my favorite drummer and why? Well, that's a tough question because I love so many drummers. But I will tell you one drummer right now that I absolutely love to watch play, and it is Ralph from Drum Tech. The Drum Tech channel? I'll spell it here in the chat. Drum Tech. It's just DRUM-Tech, TEC. Ralph, who demos all the drums on that channel, is such a good drummer. That guy is so good. I'm like hoping, I asked him, I was like, you give lessons? Because I would love to take lessons from him. He has so many awesome chops, and like, he's such a fluid player. Really good. Like, definitely check, if you haven't watched him, he's just so amazing. Also, I really like Annika Niles. She's an amazing drummer. I love Matt Gardska from Animals as Leaders. Those are some of the more modern ones that I like. Classic drummers. Huge influences on me were Bill Stevenson from The Descendants and all. Who else? Going blank, but all the famous ones, obviously, like Billy Cobham, Tony Williams, Max Roach, Buddy Rich, all the jazz drummers of the yesteryear, all the classic jazz drummers, all amazing. I was really, really into Max Roach for a long time. I thought he had just such a cool style, and I still do think that. Tony Williams, too. Jack DeJohnette, another one who I really, really love his playing. Tony Williams, especially in, like, the period of Miles Davis, like Sorcerer or Sorceress, I think is what it's called. Miles Smiles, that stuff, like the way Tony Williams plays on those albums is so good. He was so tasteful and had such a great drum sound. And I love Jack DeJohnette, Billy Cobham, Simon Phillips. There's just so many. I mean, there's so many awesome drummers. I love, what's his name? Nick DiVirgilio from Sweetwater. Well, he plays in Spock's Beard as well. He's a phenomenal drummer. Lars Ulrich. I love Lars Ulrich. I know a lot of people think he's, I think, well, Lars has a similar... People who don't really know drums that much always say he sucks. And, like, it's the same type of people that used to say Ringo sucked. But once you know drums, you're like, Ringo did not suck. Ringo is a phenomenal drummer. And I actually think Lars is a phenomenal drummer too, because of their creativity. Like, Ringo was really reserved and really tasteful and had a really awesome feel to the way he played. Lars is really creative. Like, he plays things in ways that you would not expect. Like, a lot of times. Like, he'll, like, reverse beats. He'll put things, out of order. And, like, he has a really unique style. And I think he's really, really... Yeah, Benny Greb. Definitely. Steve Gadd. Absolutely. I love Steve Gadd. And I think I've had people tell me that my playing... I think for a while I was listening to a lot of Steve Gadd. Because I play several of his chops. And when I was playing a lot of jazz in Florida and Tampa, a lot of people would tell me that I reminded them of Steve Gadd, like the way I played, because I would play like similar kind of funk grooves that he plays and stuff. And I don't know, but yeah, there's just, I mean, it's hard to say a favorite because there are really just so many amazing drummers out there. And these days too, like people just keep raising the bar, like I watch like somebody like Annika Niles, and I have no idea like what like 80% of the stuff she's doing is. I was like, Jesus, like she's got so many crazy chops, she's doing stuff in like what's the, like she'll put like 5 beats over like quintuplets and stuff over like 4, like just craziness, Lars was phenomenal until the Black Album. Yeah, I mean, I still think Death Magnetic, I think, has some great drumming on it. Really, really good. And I love his drum sound on that, too. Carter McLean is pretty cool. R. David R. Yeah, all the YouTubers. I don't know about R. David R. I mean, he's a cool YouTuber. I don't think he's a very good drummer. But Carter McLean definitely is. He's an awesome drummer. Zach Grooves, do I know who that is? Oh, who's the young kid? Who is it? What is his name? There's a really young kid that plays a lot of drum and bass type beats. JB, what is his name? Somebody help me out here. But he is amazing. He's like 17 years old. So good. Really, really great drummer. JD something. I'll have to find it, but there's videos, and definitely that stuff was blowing my mind. I was watching a lot of his videos the other day, and really, really awesome stuff. I gotta find it. What's his name? Yeah, where is it? I should say, what's their name? I don't know if they're binary or not. Let me see. JD. Is it JD? JD Beck. Yeah, this stuff is just so insanely good. I was really amazed. This was some of the most inspiring drumming I'd seen. Oh, did I just go out of the chat? Let me go back in there. Where'd it go? Yeah, sorry about that. I searched out of I closed my window of the chat. Let me post it here. JD Beck. Definitely check out JD Beck. I was really, really impressed. it's just such a cool style. And this is what I love about like these newer drummers. I feel like that they're doing unique things. You know, they're like they're not playing the same stuff that people have been playing like for ages. They're just taking a unique approach on it, and I really, really like seeing stuff like this. Okay, all right. Do I like Guar? Totally. I mean, I'm not like, I wouldn't really listen to their albums or anything, but I've seen them a couple times, and they're amazing. Because I love the theatrics. You know, they're a show. They're just really, really awesome to watch, and they make such an insanely huge mess, though. Like, I worked in the club that they played at one time, and like the next day, it was, oh my god, it was like demolished. It was crazy. There's like fake slime and blood everywhere, and just it was so disgusting. But it was really, really good, though. Yeah. What other drummers? There's just so many. There's like a ton of, Brazilian drummers that I don't even know their names, that I've heard on like classic recordings that I'm just really amazed by. Like, Brazil has a really, really cool drum, culture that's just its own unique style of rhythms. It's really, really awesome. And I went there a couple times and learned some Brazilian percussion, and I've recorded some Brazilian percussion and stuff like that. Okay, all right, says they're not theatrical. That's how they actually look. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but they are though. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up today. Running out of stuff to talk about. But if anybody has any more questions, feel free to ask, and then I'll talk about those before I go. And yeah, well, I don't know if I want to make an announcement just yet. I'll wait, because you guys can watch the videos, but there's some new stuff coming, some new exciting things coming. So make sure you're subscribed. Okay, all right, Demonic Sweaters, there's an amazing drummer for you. Oh, thanks. I feel like, I think when I was younger, I had a much bigger ego than I do now. I mean, I know I have some chops, but I see what's out there, and like there are some amazing, amazing drummers. And I feel lucky that, I can play and people, can learn anything from what I do. Because there are just so many really amazing drummers out there, so many good ones. And it's really cool. You see so much these days. I think one thing I should address, though, because I know some people, they get like, and I have friends that have told me stuff like this too, like with the sheer volume of incredible talent that's online, some people can get discouraged by that. Like, they won't want to play. They'll feel like, how can I ever compete with this? Or how can I ever, they feel like they just want to quit. There's even a comment in that, God, what was the guy's name? Anyway, but I see stuff like this all the time. Like, people are like, oh, that makes me want to stop playing, or I want to quit when I see that. Like, it's really just not the attitude I think people should have. Like, it really, like, to me, when I see stuff like that, I feel inspired. Because I don't think it's a competition, for one. And also, there's people who can learn from people at every level. Like, if you're a beginner, you may be a little bit better than a different beginner who's also starting, and they can learn something from you. Then likewise, there's maybe somebody who's, a few steps ahead of you, but not as, many steps ahead as somebody else, but you can learn from that person. So it's always like, there's always going to be somebody that's better. There's always going to be new things that you can learn. So I always try to look for those things and just try to learn things. Like, I don't want to get stuck. Like, I'm always trying to find some new, chop or something that I can put in my music, or that I can play on the drums, and just some new pattern that I can learn. And sometimes it gets hard to find those, but as long as there's new great drummers out there, there's always going to be new things to learn. So that's why I like it. Because it's not a competition. It's about you challenging yourself, and to try to get yourself, like, ahead of where you were last year, basically. And the more, if you were the best drummer alive and better than everybody, then you'd be done learning. And that would be totally boring. What would be the purpose of that? And let's see. Zydgek says, I love the 3D action. Oh, love the 3D action in the drum studio. Thanks. Yeah, we're going to do more of that stuff. And okay, all right. Does Primus suck? Well, I get the joke because I know they used to say that a lot. And I like Primus. I mean, they're one of those bands that, again, I'm not like listening to a lot of Primus, but they are a great band. I really think that they're talented and have done. I wouldn't not go see them if they were like playing down the street. I'd definitely go see them. And let's see. Phil says, "What up, man? New to your channel. Congratulations to the winner." Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Phil. And Zydgek says, "Too bad it's so small." Yeah, I mean, well, it's cheap, so I could get a bigger one, but it would cost a lot more. So it's fine. I mean, it works for me. It sounds good when I record in there. It sounds really nice. So I'm happy with that. But all right, guys, I'm gonna head out. But thanks for watching, everybody. And we will be back hopefully next week with a live performance from Chiaki Yamamoto of Hums. And don't forget to check out the new Hums. Comes out tomorrow. Streaming everywhere. You can get it on anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com. And can rewatch the stream if you want for all the other stuff I talked about. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. See y'all later. Bye-bye.